everyone, and welcome to Drinking with Dana. Forgot to turn on the microphone there for a second, which is a running theme today. So actually, that's what I'm going to start off by saying is that I made the cocoa apple cake and pre-recorded it and got it all set. And as soon as I hit stopped recording, I immediately realized I'd never turned on the microphone. So yeah, that's the second time I've tried to pre-record something and forgot to turn the microphone on. I'm sorry about that. I am going to talk a little bit about it because, just to talk a little bit about it, but I have a party that I'm going to go to in a couple of weeks, and I'll make a cocoa apple cake for that, and I'll record it, and this time hopefully turn the microphone on and put that up on the web as a special thing. And in the meantime, I'll put the recipe up for this on this episode if I can. Anyway, hi Winter Vespers, hi Morning Wind, hi, and I apologize in advance. I'm gonna butcher your name. It's Aladka. I am so sorry about that. I'm terrible at pronouncing names, but welcome to the stream. I'm very happy to see you. So thus far, the season 2 streaming has gotten off on a rocky start, but hopefully I can get things going a little bit better from here on out. I did want to say thank you, everyone. So there are some new emotes in our channel you'll find there. And the reason for that is apparently there are things called subscriber points. And the more people subscribe to your channel, the more cool things you get to do, including being able to add more emotes or emoji. And I found out we had one emoji that's just a normal emoji, non-animated. And so using a Byzantine set of communications and codes and go-betweens, I got a message to our anonymous benefactor who suggested that we add a this emoji if someone wants to do that in the chat. But then last night I was getting ready for the show and I discovered that we had an animated emoji as well. So Morning Wind is playing with that one in the chat. And thank you, Winter Vespers, for showing this one. So as more people subscribe, or more subscriptions are gotten, then the more stuff like that we get. So thank you very much. That was all you're doing. I really appreciate it. If there are any emoji you want to see in the future, put them in the comments if you're there on YouTube, or put them in the chat here, and I will read off those suggestions. Let's see, other stuff. So I did look at the calendar coming up to see when the shows were going to be, and there was going to be a show scheduled for the day after Halloween, and knowing myself, I'm not going to be in any state to do a show the day after Halloween. So we're going to cancel that and give me some time to rest. And which means, October 18th was already going to be the Halloween Spooktacular, which, if you'll remember from last year, is pretty much just like every other show. I might do a couple extra things. I'm not sure if I'm up to as much as I did last year, but I'll see what I can do. But anyway, it should be a fun show. Tune in. If you have any suggestions for my Halloween costume, I'm kind of... I don't have any good ideas this year. I've used all of my existing costumes, and one that I was hoping I would fit into a little bit better after the surgery, I still do not fill out as well as I would have liked. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Ember Leo, also hello, says that that's my niece's birthday. Is that November 1st or October 18th? Because if it's October 18th, let me know and I'll do a shout out to him. Although you may have to remind me closer to the time because my memory's not great. So, all right. So I think that's all the news for this episode. So let's get into making a drink. Tonight's first drink is a Basil Fennel Soda. And this is one I wanted to do last show, but I couldn't get quite nailed down. I've got it a lot better this time. I think it could still use some tweaking, but I think it's good in its present form. So let me make one, and you can see what you think. Emberleo laughs and says, my niece is kind of young to be watching a show about how to mix cocktails. Well, this cocktail is a spirit-free cocktail. It's a soda. So, your niece rather would be welcome to either make or drink this. Presumably they're providing they're actually old enough to do anything in the kitchen. So let's see. So this uses a Basil Fennel syrup, which was actually the sticking point last time, because I made it the way that the recipe originally suggested, and it didn't have basically any flavor to it. Now, I reviewed my notes on it, and I had added the sugar too soon, but I don't know. You can give it a try with the original recipe and see what you think. But let's see. Actually, I should be going there. So the Basil Fennel Soda. There we go. Well, here, actually, I'll go to the syrup on it. So here's the syrup. This is my modified syrup to give it more flavor. The original one had... Let me just get the original recipe here. The original one was half a cup of basil, half a cup of diced fennel stalks, a cup of sugar, a cup of water. You simmer in just the water for 10 minutes, and then add the sugar afterwards. Now, like I say, when I did it, I added the sugar at the same time as I did the water, just because that's how I had written it down originally. But when I went back and checked, you add the sugar later. So I did it with fennel seeds, which I have more of anyway. And also the fennel stalks for mine are... The fennel that I grow is about 8 feet tall, but about that big around. So it's not your typical fennel. Anyway, hi Scott. Glad to see you could drop in. And I did add a fennel frond just for color, but not really necessary. It also added some more flavor to it. And I kept the half cup basil. I was only going to do a half cup of water, but there wasn't enough to cover all of the herbs in the pan. And I think it turned out pretty well this way anyway. So let me go back. And we start with 1.5 ounces of lemon juice. So use my usual trick of the top of the shaker to measure things out, or to basically as a funnel. So how has everyone been? It's been a while since we had a full episode where I just didn't stand here and yammer at you for an hour. And things have been busy here. I have not had as much time. Well, rather, I have had some time, but I'm still kind of recovering from surgery, I find. So I have not had as much energy as I would like. And as you can probably guess by the fact that I screwed up the sound for the episode, or for the cake, I am not entirely as with it as I would like to be right now. Alright, so that's 1.5 ounces of lemon juice. I hope you all are doing better than I am. Oh, Chad Bear, welcome! And they ask, what does the syrup smell like? Is it like licorice? It does have some licorice and basil flavors scent to it. Let me give it a good whiff here. It mostly smells vegetative. I guess, in my opinion, it smells a little more basil-y than it does like fennel. But if you ever just sort of eat a fresh basil leaf, it has a lot of those licoricey flavors to it, and I think that does come through it. Like I say, this version of it, I think tastes a little more, or smells a little more basil-y than it does fennel. But if you find that you want a little more fennel, just up the amount of seeds or fronds, or add some stalks in, that kind of thing. As I try and encourage people on this show, everything should be made to taste. If you want to make it so that it's what you want to drink, there is no right way other than the way you make it for yourself. There's no right way other than what you want to drink. So, like I said, this is my suggestion. If you think that it would be better another way, I highly recommend you do it that way. A lot of these drinks I modify for myself or for Lori, who has a major sweet tooth. And so this, by the way, is a 1/2 ounce of lime juice that I'm pouring in. So yeah, just about everything I make, I modify at least a little bit, unless I'm trying something out or just showing the original version of something. Most cocktails out there are going to have dozens of different variations. Each bartender's can make it a little bit different. So I try, and when I'm showing you something, as close to the original way as possible while still being drinkable. If that makes sense. Okay. And Scott was saying everything's good with her. And Chad Bear says, "Oh, nice! I like the basil smell flavor." Me too. In my opinion, it is very much an autumnal flavor. As much as I enjoy basil all summer long, I always harvest my basil. I try and get it all in before the first frost when it kills the plants, and I make just huge batches of pesto and freeze it. As a matter of fact, I almost made switched which food I was making today to pesto, but it didn't work out in time. So that might be a future episode, is making pesto, because an incredibly easy weeknight dinner is pesto pasta with a little bit of chicken sausage in it. So good. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So 1.5 ounces of the syrup here. And by the way, that is an ongoing theme of this show, is that it's Dana gets distracted. For those who are new here, I used to joke that the subtitle of this show is Cooking with ADHD. So, all right. So, got the 1.5 ounces of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 1.5 ounces of the Basil Fennel syrup. Oh, one thing I do want to say also with the Basil Fennel syrup is when the recipe that I put up there a bit ago says that you add an equivalent amount of sugar. So basically, after I made the syrup and filtered off all the solids that were in there, I measured out how much liquid, basically how much recovery I had, and then added that much sugar. So I think I had about 2/3 of a cup left, because I let it simmer open to the air, and I added 2/3 of a cup of sugar to that. You might want to add some more sugar to taste, but that's what I did. Like I say, I think if I played around with this, I could dial it in even better. But I think that this is a good syrup. If it ends up being a little on the tart side, which I know a lot of people like. Lori, for example, likes things really sweet. I like things a little sweeter than most, but so for me, I would probably put a little more sugar in than I did this time. Oh wait, I already put in the syrup. This is me being distracted again. All right, so I'm going to add some ice to this. I will be back in just a second here. All right, and again, if this were a decent cooking and cocktail making show, I'd have the ice sitting over here, but we don't. I don't. So while I'm shaking this, I'm going to add a little ice. I'm going to add a little ice to my glass. Here, be right back. Not a ton, just some. All right. One other thing is the original recipe calls for a highball glass, and you fill that with crushed ice. My highball glasses are a little on the small side, so I use a double rocks glass for this, and I think it works out just fine. So shake that, pour it over ice in a rocks glass, and then you add club soda to it. Just top it up, and I have just a metal straw here, and I'm going to add some of this in and then stir it around, because otherwise, basically all the syrup and fruit juices just stick at the bottom, and it ends up really potent at the bottom and really, really light at the top. And it does make it less busy to do it this way, but that way you don't have to keep your straw perched right in the center of the glass. And now, like I say, with the ice and the rocks glass and all that, this is going to be it's going to be pretty strong, but I think the volume is equivalent to your standard highball glass, so it's not going to be off from the recipe as intended. So, there we go. Oh, sorry, need to garnish with a fennel frond, which probably unnecessary, but, like I say, we had some. So, there we are. A Basil Fennel Soda. All right. Poljack says, small highball glass equals a medium ball. Yeah, that's about right. Scott asks if highness equals to size. So, remind me in a second to talk about highballs and drink glass names. And Morning Wind says, all the best cooking shows do things like leave the ice over somewhere. Gives it that informal, knowledgeable Julia Child quality. Yes, although I'm a little too sober to claim anything close to Julia Child, who is, by the way, an amazing person. All right, let me drink this, and I'll get back to the rest of the comments. All right. So you get, first of all, it's very good. I like this just for myself, not to self-aggrandize, but I do like this. By the way, the original recipe was from Leo Robotchek at Epicurious, which is where I got it. So, all credit to him. So, the first thing you get up front is the lemon lime flavor, and not like a Sprite, but like a lot of lemon and lime. It's closer to like a lemonade than anything else. But then that basil flavor, the basil licorice flavor, kind of creeps over the top, and it's just then it takes over. The citrus becomes a back note, just a low note that the basil and the fennel sit on top of. Not overwhelmingly licorice, but definitely there's a black licorice flavor. So if you don't like black licorice, this is not the drink for you. I personally love it. So that's my own problem. Let's see. All right. So, Ember Leo says, I feel like the fennel frond would tickle my nose when I went to sip. There is a reason I'm using a straw on this, even though it's a rocks glass. Partly to stir it, partially to get it being able to drink in the midsection if I didn't stir it up well enough. But I think I did this time. But you do want the fennel frond does provide a nice fennel nose to the drink. All right. And she also says, it's so pretty. It is. I think it's a lovely looking drink. Let's see. Chad Barris says it's a really pretty garnish. Thank you. It is. It's not a garnish you expect to see. And I probably picked too big of a frond here, but I think it works. It actually makes me think of, it is a very pretty garnish. Very Instagram worthy. Oh, and Ogre Marco's here. Hello, Ogre. All right. Okay. So Highballs. A highball is basically a tall, thin glass. They're usually 8 to 12 ounces. I looked up the other day because I wanted to make sure that this was the right size. The ones I have are around 8 ounces, so they're at the low end of it. They are technically a highball, but it doesn't mean I can't fit as much ice in it as a lot of recipes call for. I do need to get some that are a little bit better for that. But the ones we have are so pretty. Oh, hi, Mickey, too. Hello. Sorry, forgot when I see Ogre that you're there, too. No offenses intended. All right. But a highball is a specific kind of cocktail. It's basically a 2-ingredient cocktail. So, like whiskey and ginger ale, or technically gin and tonic is a highball, but you often see it served in a rocks glass. Um, Rum and Coke is a highball. It's basically a spirit and a mixer, and that's it. Maybe a garnish or something, but usually not. So that's all a highball is. The glass got named after it. Rocks glasses, like this is technically a double rocks glass, and it's generally you serve something on the rocks, basically over ice with it. All right, so Scott says, neat. I always thought that the highball was about hard liquor. Well, it is, but it's diluted down with something. So I guess also whiskey soda is a highball. So it's actually one of the original ones, I think. Scott says, so unlearned, haha. And you don't worry. This is my special area of interest, which is why I'm sharing it with everyone, because I learn this stuff so you don't have to. So anyway, cheers, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm glad you could make it. So, while I clean this up, I am going to talk a little bit, and yeah, sorry, one more comment. It keeps hitting me with that soda, how much the basil and the fennel flavor just creeps up on that citrus, because normally when you have that much citrus juice in something, it just takes over and there's no getting rid of it. But in this, that basil and that fennel just are nice, and they linger on your palate for a while. So anyway, like I say, if you don't like very tart stuff, you might want to add a little more sugar to it. Maybe like half again as much sugar as you have water in the syrup. One other comment about the syrup for this is because it is effectively 1-to-1. It is not shelf stable. You do have to refrigerate it, and I would throw it out after a couple of weeks. So if there's any left, so just keep that in mind. Most of the syrups I do are 2 parts sugar to 1 part water, and that makes it shelf stable. But this is not that. So, Embryo says, but fennel is a strong flavor, so that's not surprising. That it can carry over the citrus. I mean, yes. No, I agree. It is a very strong flavor. And it is, I don't know. I'm more used to working with citrus than I am with fennel, even though I grow it out there and harvest the seeds every year, which I need to do some more of this year. I guess, I don't know, it just seemed surprising to me. All right, so the cocoa apple cake. Let me talk a bit about that. First of all, I haven't gotten it off I tried to get it off the tray too soon, so here's what it looks like. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I recorded myself making it and had all sorts of plans to, edit it and then start showing you that video now. And of course, as soon as I finished recording it, I realized I had once again forgotten to turn the microphone on. Uh, and then I was talking to Ogre online and uh, basically saying that what I should do is just, pretend like, you know, now I'm cutting to Dana in the past. Oh, Dana, we can't hear you. Our communications equipment isn't working right. Well, we'll cut back to you later. And then just cut back to me, throughout the show and doing stuff in the past, making it, and then like have me, have cut back and have like Lori dragging my dead body away, and then, like, I didn't remember that. But unfortunately, as Lori put it, she's not up to murdering me tonight, so that did not actually happen. But what I am going to do. And here I will actually put up the recipe. Well, I'll put up the ingredients for the recipe here. I'll talk a little bit about it. I am going to, like I said earlier, I've got a party that I'm going to in a couple of weeks, and I'll make another one then because Lord knows, we don't need more than one of these cakes in this house at a time. Usually I only make one a year because as much as I love them, we just don't need that much cake. There are only two of us here. But I do make one every year because I have a lot of fond memories of my mom making it when I was a kid, and it being, there after school, warm and gooey, and, maybe having a piece for breakfast. And it's just become kind of an autumn tradition for us. So it's got a lot of fond memories for me. I'll put the, I always put these shows up on YouTube after they're done. I'll put the recipe in the description or in the comments, however I can manage it. And then I'll put the video up next time when I make it. And hopefully this time I will turn the freaking microphone on. Every day for the last 3 days, all I've been thinking is, remember to turn the microphone on. Remember to turn the microphone on. And then today I was like, ooh, shiny bright object. No, I didn't turn it on. So, all right. Paul Jack says cocoa apple murder cake, whereas Chad Bear says no murder cake. Morning Wind just says beautiful cake. It is a very autumnal cake. It's brown. It's not. In my opinion, it's not that much to look at. It's good. However, what I'm going to do. Since when I record that next time, I probably won't record taking it out and all that. I'm going to cut a piece of it, but the most important part of it is that you serve it with whipped cream. So, I will show you how to make whipped cream from scratch. That is a compromise. I wasn't up to doing anything else. This, by the way, is how cocoa apple cake looks. But the important part here is that whipped cream. So, this is how I make whipped cream. I don't buy whipped cream anymore. It's just much easier to make it myself. And it's just, that way you're not taking up space in your fridge. So, how we do it is take some heavy whipping cream. And the Kroger brand, I don't know what they do to this stuff, but it is the thickest cream I've ever seen. I literally had to punch a hole through a layer of solid cream at the top because it's just that thick. I could just shake this bottle for a couple minutes and probably have whipped cream. But in the meantime, I'm going to pour, say, between a third and a half cup. None of these instructions are going to be in any way precise. This is just how I do it. If you like, more or less, add as much or as little as you want. Like I say, this is about a third to a half a cup. And it's, because it's whipped cream, it's going to at least double or triple in size. Here's the other thing. Then I pour in a splash of vanilla. Let's see. There. That is probably more than I need to put in, but I like vanilla. You don't have to add it. It's nice if you do. You can add in other flavors if you want it. Like if you were doing an almond cake, you could add some almond flavor to it. Any flavors you have in. If you're doing, a like hot cocoa, you could add peppermint to it if you wanted. Um, let's see. Oh, Scott complimented my top. Thank you. I just got it yesterday. Actually, it's the first time I have been shopping for new clothes in that I didn't absolutely need in years, um, for various reasons. But I'm very happy with it. So thank you. Um, Morning Wind agreed. So thank you, Morning Wind. Uh, Chad Bear says it looks like it smells good. Autumnal spices all. Yes, it is a lovely smelling cake. It is one of my favorite things to make this time of year. I am so upset with myself that it didn't turn out right. So, or the recording didn't turn out right. The cake looks fine. I'll tell you how it is in a minute. So Scott says, whip it good. Chad says, yes, real whipped cream. No offense to the canned spray stuff or frozen tubs. They don't really beat DIY whipped cream. I 100% agree. Yeah, and it's like I say, you don't take up space by having it there. It doesn't go bad as long as you keep your cream fresh. And since I use it for coffee anyway, it's nice. It's just easier. You always have it on hand. You just have to spend a couple minutes making it. So, like I say, both Lori and I have a sweet tooth. So I added, I want to say about 2 to 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar to that. Actually, I'm going to go up to a quarter cup, roughly. And again, I'm just eyeballing this. This is probably going to be way sweeter than most people like theirs, but I think it works fine. Add as much or as little as you want. I'm just giving you rough approximation. And then you take your hand blender and try not to knock over anything with the cord. Put in. This is, by the way, is a new to me hand blender. So if I'm a little slow with it, let me give you some leeway with it. I inherited it from my mom. So anyway, put it in there. Just start going. Start it slow, just to incorporate everything. You want to get that powdered sugar dissolved. And you want to use powdered sugar with this, by the way, because it will dissolve the fastest. If you try using granulated sugar, it just won't dissolve in the cold cream. So I've got that pretty much in there now. So make sure you can see this. So I'm just slowly rotating the bowl as I do it, just to make sure I get all parts of it. Now I'm going to start increasing the speed all the way up to as fast as it goes. Let's see, I think this is the turbo button here. There we go. Don't really need to do that, but it's fun. Now, I should be wearing an apron while doing this, and if we were before a party or something when I was making this, I absolutely would be, because it's really easy to get this splattered on yourself, especially if you aren't using a really high-walled bowl. Fortunately, I am. So you just want to keep this going. Turn this off for a second. You want to keep this going until you get stiff peaks. So what that means right now, here, see if I can show you this. There. Well, it's not going to really work. But basically, when you put the beaters in the cream and lift them up, if it's just folds back in on itself, then that's no peaks. If you pick it up and they form kind of mounds, basically it drips into a point and then the point just kind of folds over there's still a mound there. That's soft peaks. And if you pick it up and it stays kind of pointy, that's hard peaks. You do want to make sure you stop at hard peaks though, because then it goes dry. Egg whites go dry. Cream can turn into butter, and that's not good. I'm not quite clear if it goes to clotted cream first and then to butter, or if clotted cream is kind of buttery, or I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm only a quarter English, so. All right, so here goes. I'm at soft peaks right now, and please, no comments from folks about that. And you can start seeing now when I move I can see as I'm moving the beaters around here that basically the peaks and sort of the weight of the mixer isn't folding back into the rest of the whipped cream. You want to make sure that you're getting all the stuff around the edges, especially if you're not working with a real great hand mixer, because I've actually had, when I first started making this, I had a really crappy hand mixer, or was using some ones, I think, and I actually ended up with a layer of liquid with this whipped cream floating on it, and that was not good in any way. So, as you can see, I've taken the beaters out, but the whipped cream is still, staying in shape. So that means it's basically at hard peaks right now. And like I say, if I were a different kind of gay bartender show host, I would be making all sorts of double entendres about this. Not going to, because I respect you too much. Also, other reasons. Anyway, so I am now going to, because we're going to pretend for a moment that you can't just eat whipped cream out of the bowl, I'm going to put a healthy dollop of this on the cocoa apple cake and comment about both of those. Lori, this is also the part normally where I would ask Lori if she wanted to lick the beaters, and she would take them away and lick all the whipped cream off. So, I'll grab a fork. Scott says this is good. Oh, Chad Bear says it won't it separate into like butter and whey or something? Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's I think what happened when I did that before. Scott says this is good for pies too. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. This is good for any time you would normally use whipped cream. I use it on, to continue with the bartending theme, on the on Irish coffee. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's good for anything that ails you. Chad Bear says, "Hey, that's what she said." Yeah, literally, that's what I said. No, nice and agree. Whipped cream is great on pumpkin pie. Yes, absolutely. Emilio says, "I missed. Is there anything extra in the whipped cream other than cream, sugar, and air?" First of all, you make sure it's powdered sugar. Second, I added a little bit of vanilla flavoring, vanilla extract. You can add whatever else you want. Chad Bear says, "Who says you can't eat it right out of the bowl? Whipped cream, please." Yeah, no, you absolutely can. There's absolutely no reason. I'm just pretending, so I can have some of the cake. Let's see. Embryo says if you add acid, it will separate. Yes. And yeah, okay. So, all right. So, first, just a little bit of the whipped cream by itself. Nice. Better, as folks have been saying, better than anything you can buy in the store. Just really good. The vanilla adds a nice flavor to it. Vanilla is really an underrated flavorant. It's just amazing. Now, yeah, and it's a nice texture too. It's amazing what you can do with just a little hand mixer here. Okay. Oh, everybody says I'm caught up. Sorry I had to mute during the hand mixering. That is completely understandable. I normally try and warn people when it's going to get loud, but I forgot this time. Sorry about that. But I totally understand that. All right, so the cake itself, for when you see me making it in the future or something. Despite there being 2 cups of grated apples in there, You don't get a lot of apple flavor. It's, you get the baking spices, the allspice, the cinnamon. Um, I got a big chunk of chocolate there. Um, but I don't know. There's something about it. You can, if you didn't have the apple in there, you would absolutely miss it. And I think that's about 90% of what makes this such a moist cake, too. Um, it's just a wonderful cake. I'm sorry I screwed up the recording, but I will make that up to folks. So, yes, this is. I wish I could share a piece with each of you out there. It is one of my favorite fall treats. Um, and I hope you get some use out of the whipped cream, how to make whipped cream. It is, I mean, the ultra pasteurized whipping cream will last for months, especially if it's unopened. But if you have whipping cream, and powdered sugar, even without the vanilla, you always have whipped cream on hand. So, and you can actually make whipped cream with just a whisk, but it does take forever. So, even with this stuff, which is really heavy duty whipping cream, it just doing it by hand, because I've done that. I went through my purist phase. It's like, oh, I can just take out my whisk and make whipped cream. No, it takes like 20 minutes, and your arm falls off at the end. Um, and it's not, you don't get stiff peaks that way, because you're like, soft peaks is good enough. It's more restauranty, I guess, or I don't know. I had this trend in nicer restaurants where they don't do nice, stiff, solid whipped cream. They do like soft peak whipped cream, and it's just not as good, in my opinion. Of course, if you like it, that's great. All right. Yeah, Chad Bear says, talking about vanilla, says it's a complex and exotic flavor with a complex history. So weird that we describe things we think are bland or basic as vanilla. I absolutely agree. One fun fact about vanilla: the bee that pollinates the vanilla orchids died out. So all vanilla orchids have to be pollinated by hand, because that's the only way we can keep them alive. And keep the species from dying out. Let's see. Ska is a vanilla fan. Good, good, good. Very happy about that. Embrilio says, I get the impression that it came from being the base flavor for ice cream, but it's like, it's the base because it's all it takes to make ice cream amazing. Vanilla is the salt of dessert for more than sugar, far more than sugar. You don't know what you're missing when you leave it out, but the depth of flavor that disappears and it's gone. Yeah, absolutely. Vanilla is the thing that makes everything better. I would argue that salt, you still need salt even in most desserts, but that's that's not the point you were making. Yes, vanilla is amazing, and I think that's why it got the reputation of being bland or boring, because it is used in everything, but it's used in everything because it's incredible. So yeah. Chad Bear says, maybe. I wonder if it was it being able to be artificially created that also made it one of the more available and therefore more common. Also, hashtag Team Vanilla. I think we're all hashtag Team Vanilla here. At least I hope so. Emberleo says, yeah, proper use salt is always key in cooking and baking. Absolutely, 100%. So, all right. I'm actually trying to keep things moving along this week to make up for last week. So, I'm going to clean up a little bit here. We can keep talking about vanilla. I am happy to talk about vanilla all day long. But in the meantime, I'm going to start tidying up at least a little bit. One thing I need to check here. How does the soda go along with the apple cake? I always try and, make things that go well together, so. All right, very good. Still, even though the ice is melting, I actually like it a little bit more watered down. It's a very intense flavor at first. So you might actually want to put it in even a larger glass and adjust the levels of club soda to your taste. But right now, with the ice melted, it's perfect. Um, mm. I, After having that sip right then, like, I'm not sure they complement because the citrus is, the flavors from the soda are really strong compared to the flavors of the cake, which you wouldn't expect for something with that much allspice and cinnamon in it, and not to mention the chocolate. But then the fennel basil flavor hit, and it was really complimentary, actually. So I would say drink the soda, then eat the cake. But they do go well together, so I'm happy with that. All right. Oh, Emberleo's heading out for a date, I think. So have a good time. Hope you have a great time on your date, and hope to see you again soon. All right. Uh, okay, and the rest of folks saying good night. So, all right. I'm gonna set these off to this. Well, actually, I'm gonna leave the cake there for no reason. We're gonna set the whipped cream off to the side though, and the whipped cream obviously should be refrigerated, but it will sit out for a little bit, not terribly long, but at least long enough for me to make Lori a slice of cake after the show. So now we go on to the second drink of the night, which is the alcoholic one, and that is the Pink Lady. So, all right. One thing I forgot to mention on the cocoa apple cake. I mentioned that my mom used to make it when I was a kid, and I got the recipe as basically a photocopy, or I think she scanned it in, and it's clearly from the back of some sort of package. And I always thought it was like from chocolate chips or something, but I think it was actually from a package of C&H sugar, because C&H is the only brand name that's actually specified in the recipe. So not the chocolate chips or anything else. But anyway, so take that for what it's worth. All right, Pink Lady. So this cocktail is, all right, well, actually, let me put it this way. Last year, I wanted to give, I wanted to do some autumnal cocktails. And so I looked, and every single recipe I could find required either Applejack or Calvados, or something else I didn't have. And I was like, I should really get some. And by the time I went to look for it, everyone was sold out of Applejack, except for the $75 bottle stuff. And the recommendations I got were for the Lard's 100. What's it? Lard's 100 cask strength Applejack, which is 100 proof, which is strong. And as I've mentioned a few times on the show, my tolerance for alcohol has gone down, and basically, when you transition, so bodies that run on estrogen process alcohol out of them more slowly, so it builds up faster in your system and stays there longer. Bodies that run on testosterone, other way around. Apparently, that's one thing that when you transition happens to you. So I've been trying to avoid stronger drinks personally. It's been a while since I've had a Manhattan, even though I love them, because that's the one drink for a while. So I didn't want to get the 100 proof stuff, even though that's what a lot of people strongly recommended. The other thing is that the most of their normal proof, or around 80 proof Applejacks, are some Applejack, but some neutral grain spirits. And by the way, I'll define what Applejack is in a minute. But this year they came out with this Lard's, and by the way, Lard's is the company that makes Applejack in the U.S. Just pretty much they are the brand name for Applejack. They make good quality stuff. I've never heard any complaints about their 100% pure, Applejack. This year they made an 86 one or 86 proof one called their Straight Applejack 86, and it is not fortified with neutral grain spirits or anything else. It is pure Applejack. Now, what is Applejack? Applejack is apple brandy. It is literally made from an apple wine, which is then distilled and then aged the same way you would any other brandy. It is one of the original spirits that was made in the U.S. It's the way they used to make it is they would basically take a bunch of apple cider, let it ferment just naturally, and then leave it out during the winter. And what would happen is the water in the apple cider would freeze out, but all of the alcohol and apple flavors would stay liquid because there was enough alcohol in there to change the freezing point. So they just take off the big disc of ice that had formed on the top, and then throw that away, and then let it freeze again, and take off the ice, and keep doing that until it was concentrated down. Now it turns out that's actually a really terrible way to distill things, but you can actually do it. If you take a bottle of wine, stick it in your freezer, or pour it in a bowl, stick it in your freezer, and just keep taking off the layers of ice, eventually you'll have effectively a brandy. But it's not a real good way to do it for a lot of different reasons that I'm not going to go into now. All right. Oh, let's see. Oh, Lori popped in to say hi to everyone. So, hello, Lori. Lori says, this cocktail is tasty, but the scent of the drink as you're drinking it. Oh, yes. So, I'm actually going to, I need to remember. Thank you for reminding me, Lori, about your addition to this. Anyway, so, Applejack. Yes, apple brandy, but it's got a special name because it's a special thing, important to American history, very autumnal, very lovely drinking just by itself. Again, Lard's not a sponsor, but could be if they wanted. Anyway, so this year, got myself a bottle of this stuff because it's reasonably priced. This was like $25 before tax, which is not bad at all, especially for 100% apple brandy. And then I was looking on their site, on Lard's site, or rather, I looked up Applejack cocktails because I knew there were a ton out there. And I saw this one, and it's called the Pink Lady. And even before I looked at the ingredients, I was like, that sounds perfect. I'm going to give that one a try. There's another one called a Jack Rose, I think it is. I'm getting that name wrong, I think. But another famous cocktail that I'm going to do probably next time. Anyway, let's see. Looks like we've got a bot here. So let me take care of that real quick. What just happened? I forgot to move the cursor. That's what happened. Forgive me for a second. All right. Sorry about that. So like this is the perfect one I want to do. And then I actually looked at the recipe, and it only takes like a half ounce of Applejack in it. So the other one does a lot more and really shows off the Applejack. But this is a lovely drink in and of itself. Okay, so about the history. I finally got into the actual cocktail part. The actual history of the Pink Lady. No one knows who actually invented it. There are a lot of different early versions that have either that name but a different recipe, or similar recipe but slightly different. Let's see, am I on the right? Yeah, I am on the right thing. It goes back to about the 1910s. One variant called the Pink Shimmy actually replaces the egg white in this with sweet cream, which would be interesting, but not what I'm making today. The 1937 Cafe Royal cocktail book describes this drink, names it the Pink Lady, but doesn't actually include the Applejack in it. And a lot of the retro hipster recipes are like, oh yes, no, there's no Applejack in this. Everyone else says, yeah, no, there's absolutely Applejack in this. It's just, oh, we found this one cocktail book, and if you want to drink like you're in 1937 and instead of paying attention to all the improvements that have been made over time, you can absolutely leave this out. There are other variations that have like lime juice in it instead of lemon and so on and so forth. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a second here and get the eggs out. I forgot to do that earlier. All right. And as always, if you don't like egg whites, raw egg whites in your drink, you can get pasteurized egg whites. They come in a little carton. Nothing wrong with that. You can also use what's called aquafaba, which is the liquid from chickpeas. If you buy a can of chickpeas and pour off the liquid, that's aquafaba. You use, I think it's like 3/4 of an ounce instead of an egg white, and you get the same foam. It doesn't add any extra taste. I've never done that. I actually had some chickpea juice that I saved, and then I forgot that I had it, and so I never tried it. I'm going to be doing that one of these days. All right. So, let's actually make this drink. Let's see. Oh, I need another lemon. You give me some time to recover from surgery, and I just lose all of my skills. All right. So, just 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Actually, I think I should probably have used that, but oh well. I've already sliced this. All right.
Hey, babe. For whatever reason, like a minute or two
okay.
ago, everyone logged out and had to re-log in.
Okay, I'm just seeing people saying that now. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened from this end. Is everyone back in? Does everything look okay? Sound okay? Where did I leave off? What'd you miss?
Can I be paid in apple?
Yeah, all right. While everyone's getting recombobulated, I'm going to make Lori a slice of cake here. For letting me know, because I wasn't paying attention. And if you want to hand me the cat at some point too.
Hi, kitty. Yeah. She's been hanging out with me.
Good. Here, and I know you want the rest of the whipped cream.
Yeah. I don't know what my hair looks like. What does my hair look like?
It looks fine. If you don't want to be on camera.
I can get her on camera.
Here. Why don't you hand her?
Well, because this is the intermission while you're doing that.
All right. Here we go. I'll trade you.
You put that down because I have no hands to take it.
Hi. Yes.
18 pounds of Kitty Kat.
Come here, good girl. Oh. Hi.
Thank you, honey.
So, as the cat tax for you being so rudely interrupted, this is, for those who don't know, this is Becky. She is my cat. She is a giant brat. And by giant, I mean 18 pounds of love. And she is here to take over the show. You gonna make cocktails? Yeah. Anyway. So yes. And now her sister has arrived, who's 8 pounds of torment. Hi. Yes? Alright, I've got to put you down, kid, so I can finish the show. Okay. Alright. Chad Bear says, the executive producer. Very nice, yes. And yes, when she says meow, that cat has a full vocabulary. She meows in complete sentences. So, alright, let me wash my hands before I get any more into this. Got plenty of alcohol in it to kill anything, but just I do try and avoid as much cat fur and things as is possible when I can. Anyway, yes, no, but Becky is my sweetheart. The only problem is she is a giant fraidy cat. So when anyone she doesn't know, which is basically anyone other than Lori and I, comes into the house, she runs and hides under the bed so no one can actually see her, which is a shame because she's really, she loves love. She loves to have people pet and dote on her and stuff, but it's so rare. All right, so 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice. Ogre Marco says she would like a snifter of mouse catal. Very nice. Or maybe a glass of burgundy. What's gotten into you? I thought you hated puns, Ogre. Or is that Mickey making you type those things? All right. 1.5 ounces of gin. Lori says, don't listen to Dana. Keep them coming. Yeah, no, actually, I am not upset at the puns at all. I think they're fantastic, but I was just shocked because normally Urger does not like puns. At least when we make them. Maybe he only likes the ones that he makes. All right, I'm now measuring out the 1/2 ounce of Applejack, and I'm just realizing that I left off a very critical ingredient on here. So I am really off my game this week. You need, I believe it's a 1/2 ounce of grenadine in this. Let me double check that. Sorry about this. I apologize also if it screws up the feed. No, Chrome, I do not want you. Yes, whatever you just said, that's fine. All right. I am so sorry, everyone, but I don't want to get this wrong. Yes, 1/2 ounce of grenadine. All right. Which, fortunately, I have right here. Homemade grenadine. For those who have not seen the channel before, I highly recommend making your own grenadine. It is very easy. It's basically 2 parts sugar, 1 part pomegranate juice. Same way you'd make simple syrup, except you substitute pomegranate juice for the grenadine. If you want, add a couple drops of orange flower water. It makes it even better. But either way, it's going to be better than roses. All right, so the way I knew, by the way, that I had screwed up and left this off is that this is the thing that gives it its pink color. All right. There we go. Like, I knew it was more ingredients than that. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Anyway, all right. And Ogre says, oh no, I don't hate them. I just play along with everyone's expectations of hatred. Okay, that's fair. That is absolutely fair. It is always nice to give an appreciative response, even when that appreciative response is an expected boo. All right, so I am going to add a egg white to this. And see if I can do it easily. There you go. And you actually need only about half of the egg yolk here. Egg white here, not the egg yolk. Definitely not the egg yolk. I'm going to go ahead and add the whole thing just because. It's not going to hurt anything if you add the whole thing, but if you are making a double of this or making it for 2 people, then just add 1 egg white to the whole thing. Like I say, pasteurized egg whites are fine, or aquafaba. So Now what we're going to do is a dry shake on this. Whenever you're add an egg yolk to anything, you do a dry shake. That means just shaking it without any ice in it. Now, and again, I'm going to warn you that the way shakers work is that the ice chills down the metal, which causes it to compress together, which makes it so that it doesn't leak around the edges. With no ice in here, it's not going to do that. And actually, I found that shaking the egg white will actually generate some air in there, generate positive pressure on the inside. So be very careful doing this. So I'm just going to shake it up for a little while. And I can feel it pushing apart there. Yep. And I leaked a little bit down the side. But then again, I'm getting older. Anyway, all right, that's probably good anyway. There. Just gonna take off that leak pressure. Now I'm going to add some ice to this. Now, there are those bartenders who say, and probably rightly so, you should use one big chunk of ice and then a bunch of crushed ice. And I used to do that. With our new refrigerator, it doesn't work as well, so I kind of stopped doing it. I just use the ice as it comes out. But if you want to do that, go ahead. All right. Let's see. Chad Bear says, otherwise she's just a lady. Yes. If you leave the grenadine out, it's just a lady. Ogre Marco says, there's nothing as disappointing as a terrible pun met with big-in acceptance. True. Chad Bear says, I always felt weird about egg white in drinks until Starbucks did that one egg white foam coffee I'd been missing out. See, I never had that one. Basically, I was also a little wary of egg white in drinks until I got a whiskey sour with an egg white in it, and it was very impressive, and it kind of turned me around on that. So I missed out on the Starbucks experience. Although I do have one now with olive oil in it, which is interesting. Let's just say interesting. And yeah, I think I let it set. Maybe I didn't shake it long enough. I haven't been getting as good a foam on this, even with the egg white. I think it's gonna probably get better as the foam goes to the top. But so Chad Bear asked, why does it help with mixing? It's not that it helps with mixing. It helps. Basically, I think it has something to do with breaking the egg white down and starting to basically, it's not a meringue, but basically make a foam with the egg white without over chilling and over diluting your drink down. And I don't know the science on it. I really should, but all I know is that the standard rule is when you use an egg white, you dry shake it first. And it does help. So I've tried it both ways. I basically forgot to dry shake, and you don't get as good a foam. Let's see, I'm going to answer that. The caramel cloud macchiato, I think it just used egg white powder, but it was still good. Oh, no olive oil coffee. Yes, I tried their sample and I was unimpressed. So it wasn't horribly bad, but I don't need extra oil, extra grease, extra calories really in my life. So, all right. All right, here, let me do this one. Nice thing about having an apple tree with some apples left over is that when you need an apple garnish, you've got them handy there. All right. Except I need a smaller knife to really get this looking nice, but I may have already screwed this one up. There we go. Normally you can just pop that center out, but today it's not doing it. All right. Well. So, slice of apple for your garnish, and that is the pink lady. Now, you're right, it is not super pink, especially in this light. This light is pretty yellow to begin with, so it makes it look orange. But, and I apologize, I don't have my back camera set up today because the table behind there is covered with stuff. But anyway, you can see the nice foam from the egg white, although not as much foam, again, as I normally would expect from that much egg white. I think it was kind of it kind of stayed together and might have gotten mostly filtered out. But cheers, everyone. Let me tell you what it tastes like. So yes, the apple and pomegranate flavors come out quickly. There is a bit of basically alcohol that hits you right up front. You can definitely tell that there's spirits in this just from that. It's not gonna sneak past anyone that this is alcoholic. But it is just a lovely autumnal flavor. You could actually have this early. I would say this would also be a nice summery drink because it is, certainly can enjoy apples during the summer. Having a slice of apple there does give it more of an apple aroma. But let me taste this here. So yeah, you get that nice creamy egg white texture to it. And I think what I'm kind of processing is that alcohol flavor, that spirit flavor, is not only a little bit of the alcohol from the gin, but also some of the juniper and other spices. Well, I don't want to say spices. The other flavorants that are in gin, kind of poking its head up before the other flavors come through. The lemon flavor, the pomegranate, and you really can taste the pomegranate, even though there's not that much, and the apples, even though there's not much of either of those in this. Let's see. Morning Wind said it's very autumnal looking. Chad Bear said it's pretty. Thank you very much, both of you. Scott just says, ooh. Thank you, Scott. And Chad Bear also says it's a natural pink. And it is natural. It is, it's pomegranate juice. That's what gives it its color. I would actually say that it is, you could get away with adding, maybe like 3/4 of an ounce of pomegranate without changing the flavor profile too much, giving it more of a pink color, giving it a little sweeter flavor, because it's not overwhelmingly tart. Oh, there is one thing. This is Lori's addition to this, which I absolutely support. Which is, and I'd forgotten about this until she reminded me, grab some cinnamon sticks and your spice microplane, and come on. No, I want this kind. A couple different kinds of cinnamon, which is another show. All right, and then just grate some over the top. And, all right, and then slowly over time, that cinnamon is going to infuse into the drink. But right off the bat, you get a very strong cinnamon aroma to go with the apple, and it smells instantly like an apple pie. You could also use nutmeg. I tried cinnamon the other night, and I really like that. And like I say, once some of that cinnamon gets through the egg white foam, it starts to infuse the drink. You could add a couple of scrapes of cinnamon in, but while before you shake it, and I think that would be fantastic. I think it would still be a pink lady, but it's just yeah. I think that might be something you want to try in the future if you like cinnamon and apple pies and all things good. So let me try it again this way. Yeah, it smells like an apple pie now. Mm. Still the same. You don't get a whole bunch of cinnamon flavor yet, but it is still like I say, it takes a little time for the cinnamon to infuse in there. Also, uh, thank you very much for following Denny's at 4 a.m. And they say it's a spicy pink lady now, and I think that is the perfect name for this variation is the spicy pink lady. Excellent suggestion. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for being here. Welcome. Cheers. And thank you also to all of our first time viewers. We've got several people who've at least been chatting for the first time. I really appreciate you all being here and supporting this show. I've been doing it for a little over a year now, and I've recently been having some stuff going on that I've been needing to take a little break, needing to recover a little bit. So I appreciate that you're all sticking with me or joining me for the first time. You're what makes this show possible, or it even makes me want to do it in the first place. Being with you all is fantastic. So also, speaking of that, for those who weren't here at the beginning of the show, there's a little bit of news. First of all, we got some new emotes, but that's not really the important thing. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. Okay, so because the November 1st episode is the day after Halloween, and when I normally do a show, I just know myself enough to know that I'm not going to be up to doing a show the day after Halloween. For those who don't know, Halloween is kind of trans Christmas, especially those of us who were in the closet for a real long time, and that was the only day we could wear pretty dresses. Halloween's a really big thing in the queer community at large, but especially for trans folks. So I'm not going to be up for that on November 1st. I hope you all have a lovely Halloween. So we're gonna skip that week. I'll try and stockpile some episodes. The October 18th is going to be the Halloween Spooktacular. I have no idea what I'm doing for that yet, but I'm hoping by then I will figure something out. Let's see, and yes, and then there was just the new emojis. So that was it for the news. Thank you all for being here. Denny's at 4 a.m. says candy coma. Yes, and asks if I will be doing spoopy drinks. Yes, I will. I will find some spoopy drinks to do. I think I used up the zombie last year and one or two other things, but I'll find some new ones this year. There'll be spoopy drinks, something Halloween themed for the snack. I did. I think last year I did 5 recipes, 2 foods and 3 drinks, and I think that was a little much. But I also used, so I used the zombie, I used my pumpkin seed recipe, which was my ace in the hole there. So I'll find out something new this year and definitely bring them over on the 18th. So, and of course there'll be costumes, and I'll see if I can coax my black cat back out. So anyway, yes, thank you all again for being here. Cheers. I hope you all have a lovely evening. You're all fantastic. Thank you for enabling me. Take care. All right.